In this part, we will discuss about another important property, enthalpy of a system. So, what is enthalpy of system, friends? The quantity U plus PV is known as enthalpy of the system, and it is denoted by H. So, enthalpy of system is actually U plus internal energy plus PV. What is PV, friends? PV is nothing but work factor. It gives me idea about the work done by the system or on the system, right? So you have to understand, friends, one important point here. In the first law of thermodynamics, you know that change in internal energy is giving me idea about heat input to the system and work done by the system. And imagine the case that work is done by the system. And I can write Q as change in internal energy plus work done, right, friends? So I can write Q as change in internal energy plus work done. So friends, if you compare this one and this one, you find the similarities, right? What is the similarity you find here? You find that enthalpy is nothing but it is actually the heat content of the system itself. Heat content of the system, right? So enthalpy gives me an idea about heat content of the given system which you are considering, right? And what is also important point to be noted, friends, like internal energy, enthalpy is also a state function. That means it depends on the state S1 and state S2, but not on the path in which this change has been brought. So what is delta H? Delta H is nothing but final enthalpy minus initial enthalpy. And imagine a situation in which the final enthalpy is greater than initial enthalpy. So such processes in which final enthalpy is greater than initial enthalpy, such processes are called endothermic process. And there are certain other processes in which H initial will be greater than H final. Such process is called exothermic process. So in endothermic process, delta H is positive, and in exothermic process, delta H is negative. So let's consider the formation of water, friends. What is happening is hydrogen reacts with oxygen to give H2O plus certain energy. It is explained in a pictorial representation. What is important, friends, you have to remember is there is a release of energy taking place, right? And what is happening, friends? If you consider the enthalpies, you know that delta H is H final minus H initial, right? In this process, friends, in the formation of water, delta H is negative, right? Delta H is negative. 241.8 minus 241.8 kilojoules is the delta H, right, in this process. That means this process releases energy. That means delta H will be negative. That means this process is called exothermic process. That means the overall delta H is negative, right? So what is happening, friends? This is exothermic process, and what is happening to heat content of the system? Since delta H is the heat content of the system is decreasing, because of which delta H is also decreasing, right? It is becoming negative, right? So here delta H is minus 241.8 kilojoules. So formation of water is exothermic process. So friends, in this part we have discussed about the role of enthalpy in thermodynamics and chemical reaction process. So in our next topic, we will discuss about some more interesting parts. So keep tuned, friends. Have a good day.